Hello everyone, today I would like to present you another video of mine. This time we are going to discuss races, and unfortunately we're going to do only alliance side this time, but next time I will definitely do horde side as well. The problem is that I'm not too familiar to the last detail on the horde ratios, and because of that I cannot give a full opinion right now. So let's get to the criteria. How are we going to measure which race is better? We are putting aside the aesthetic part of race. So we will basically measure it only by skills you will get from the race, and how useful it is for you in this game. As far as PvE concerned, there's no big damage increase from any of the ratios to actually bring your race to like most top PvE wanted race. But as far as PvP goes, and as you know my videos are about PvP, the ratios are quite strong. Some are stronger, some are weaker, some are purely cosmetic, and we'll look at at ratios and races from the PvP point of view, and I will lead them from the best to worse, as to not consume your time once you hear what you want. So the best one in my opinion for Alliance side will be Void Elf. You will say Dark Iron and stuff, but let me explain why Void Elf. First of all, for ranged class, it offers way too many things. Like the rift that you use as a teleport is way more important for ranged classes, and because of that, of how much value it offers to ranged classes, I put it a little bit over Dark Iron, for example, and given them actually number one. Plus their casts are not delayed, which is another good point for PvP for mages and other casters. And lastly, they do get a little bit of a bonus from Void that counts as damage. The rest are purely cosmetic, or really don't count towards your PvP experience. Like shadow resistance, like resistances are bad. Like it's 1%, really nothing to talk about, so we're just skipping them. Next one are Dark Irons. They give you physical damage reduction, which is not big but still something. Movement speed while indoors, which is not big but still at least something. But the biggest hit is removal of harmful effects and empowerment. So you pretty much dispel yourself and you gain a huge amount of your primary stats. And that's really a huge buff in damage, which is why you want this race for pretty much everyone, especially a melee class. But just because it's just not as strong and not as important as Void Elf Rift, I give them number 2 instead of number 1, otherwise the picture would have been different. Third one, I give it to Lightforged Draenei. I was debating between Dwarf and regular Dwarf, not Dark Iron, and Lightforge, and in my heart Lightforge wins. They erupt for a crazy amount of damage and healing when they die, which really can turn the fight in your team's favor. Plus they have a huge like big damage AoE ability on a 2.5 minutes cooldown, which also a deal breaker. If they had something else on top of those two, because those two are very cyclical, you can't really play around them, but they help a lot when they are being executed. If they had something else to add there on a more reliable scale, I would probably give them number 1, but they earn a rightful number 3 in my opinion. Going to number 4. Number 4 are dwarves. You get a little bit extra bonus on critical strikes, while resistances we don't discount, and then we have a stone form which dispels your diseases and poisons, which is extremely great and unfortunately doesn't do a buff for you, but it's still good for PvP. That's like one of those big things, and because of that it earns a rightful 4th place. Going down, we're going to Gnome. gnomes are quite cool, even though the attack speed, like it's fine, so you gain attack speed, but it's like 1%, so it's not a biggie. Increased resource pool is also not so much bigger. However, their active ability escaping from slowing effects makes it extremely useful, especially for casters. If they had some more buffs, like more meaningful buffs for their passives, like Void Elves have, they would have definitely moved up closer to number 1, or perhaps even be number 1. But at this point, they are number 5. Going down to number 6. Number 6, I give to pandas. Pretty much all the stuff that they have is purely cosmetic. It doesn't really affect your outcome of the battles much. But what really brings them over other races that I have not yet mentioned is their active ability, which is crowd control ability. It's extremely strong, it's extremely useful, and definitely has its use in PvP. And simply because of that one talent, because it's just so good, I give it 6th spot. Otherwise I would call it a cosmetic race and just throw it out down the drain, you know, and put it all the way at the bottom. Going further with number 7. Number 7 are Night Elves. They offer you a little bit of stats here, a little bit of movement here, dead, like moving faster while dead, which is cosmetic, and they can blend in shadows. They are this low because their shadows is not as good as active abilities of mentioned races. It does work quite well in certain situations, especially for ranged classes, because it offers you like it gives you a chance to actually get a first hit, first jump on certain players in arena, for example. I mean battleground. In arena, not as much useful, but you can cancel off a cast of a caster that is trying to damage you with using your shadows, which is quite important. You, like for example, mage casts their super pyroblast and you use shadows, shadow meld, and you just cancel it off, so that helps. As far as their stats, like you get attack at night, faster attack at night, and then critical strike during the day, but those are very nominal percentages. They will not really affect your gameplay or make you stronger, like reasonably stronger. For the most part, you will not even notice those buffs. Therefore, I give it such a low rank at number 7. Furthermore, we are going with human. Yeah, they're this low. They're this low, guys. Once again, the stats increase is extremely low to actually mention anything. You will not feel it in combat, it will not be giving you crazy amount of advantage. Maybe if we still had those 30-minute boss fights in PvE, you would have scaled up an extra percentage, 1% on all your damage just because of the stat buff, but otherwise it's not good. As far as its active ability, it's a little bit better of those that I didn't mention, but because it has a 30 seconds internal cooldown and only dispel stuns, it's not as good. Like I know it was too strong when it didn't have a cooldown, internal cooldown, and dispelled everything, but at least remove the internal cooldown right now and just keep it, with stuns. But with internal cooldown, it's really not useful, not a good thing in my opinion. Of course, super pro gladiator or someone will be able to make an exact use for this talent, like that microsecond, but let's look the truth in the eyes. Most of us will not be making use of this talent properly, and therefore there's no reason to take human as a race. Going down to number 9. Number 9 are Draenei. Aside from the cosmetic parts, once again, and resistance to shadow is like 1%, the boost to stats is very nominal. It's not big. Same with humans. It's not enough to give you, it's not enough to tell you like, okay, dude, you are picking this class because it's going to pop your damage up. No, that's not gonna happen. It's just too low. And the active ability is you're able to heal someone or yourself for a good amount of healing, but it's just one heal. If you are playing a healer, you don't really need it. If you are playing a DPS, you will not feel this heal, and with so much damage right now in game, like the way the game scaled so far, you will not be feeling that heal really. So it's really pointless. I would call this class mostly cosmetic and useless if you are trying to pick it. And on the last place, we are having Worgen. Unfortunately, I can call this class purely cosmetic. You can transform into human, you can transform into wolf, you get the special ability to run on all your force. It's all cool and stuff, but you have nothing going for racial talents. The critical strike chance increases only 1%. You will not feel it in combat damage wise at all. The resistances are also very low, you will not feel it. Skill, like that's a cosmetic, it has no effect on your combat, the skin and skill and speed increase, so that one we are throwing away as well. Lastly, your active ability is it's an option for you to increase your movement speed, which works pretty much like Rogue's sprint. Right now it's in a bad state because anyone and everyone right now has a slow. By casting a slow on you, they will completely negate the effect, and that will be it. It's useless. It's a purely cosmetic race. If they buffed up the critical strike chance to, let's say, 2% and made your racial speed buff to suppress all movement impairing and movement slowment effects and last, for example, not how much it lasts, like 8 to 10 seconds, and make it last like 4 seconds instead, then it would have been useful, but at this point it's purely cosmetic. This is my personal ranking. Hopefully I help you out with the choice. This is it. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, have a great day.